Good morning and welcome back to Margin. This morning we're going to talk about what is essential in your home. So let's jump right into it. So we just covered the theme of your dwelling, where you live and what considerations you should have around the home you look to either rent or purchase. But what actually makes that place a home? So having a place to call home is much more than finding a place to live. As it is said, home is where the heart is. We've seen that walking into various people's homes throughout the years on various placards and everything else. But home is and should be a sanctuary or a place of refuge for you, your spouse, and your children, your family otherwise. It should be a place that is safe and secure. So what makes it actually home though? So most people would probably say that it's who lives there, or maybe it's how many generations of families have lived in that space, or maybe it's the unique attributes of that place that make it a safe haven for you and your family. But it also may vary to some extent from person to person as well. So think about your home in particular. What is it that makes it a home? Or if your house doesn't necessarily feel like a home, why? Now, the purpose of this is not to get philosophical about your dwelling, but to actually think through why you do what you do and what the effect of your surrounding actually has on you, and then how you can adjust your surrounding accordingly. So in your home, you may have family heirlooms, you may have keepsakes, you may have other sentimental items, and you may have images of various experiences you've had throughout life. Or maybe you have a certain design aesthetic that speaks to who you are, or there may be a certain texture, maybe a certain smell or an ambiance that makes you feel a certain way. But really think about it, because oftentimes we don't think about these things. We don't really know what makes home home. And so sometimes it can be really difficult to actually put your finger on what exactly it is. So when you think about what is essential, besides having four walls, a roof, utilities, what would those be? Now the purpose here is to better align your finances with what matters most to you. Having your budget or plan to spend actually feeding the ideal or essential aspects of how you actually want to lead your life is so important. And if you're not doing that, you're missing out on where you could be putting your energy and focus in order to make that happen. So as you are looking at what is essential in your home in particular, you may be drawn to what is less than ideal, maybe what is falling apart or what is broken. So it's so easy to do that. And yet, if you're anything like me, the status quo can always be improved upon, and that applies to your dwelling as well. So it can always be improved upon or bettered, but it's a matter of defining that so that you know what to improve on in particular. So if your house is not a home, what needs to actually change? What do you need to prioritize that you're not currently prioritizing? Now, this may be that you have always wanted to have a library to sit and read and reflect and whatnot, or a pool in order to have family and friends over to enjoy, or maybe a larger kitchen or a garage or a workshop to work on your projects in. And it's so easy to walk through life never really considering what actually matters most to us. And so what ends up happening is although we're innately selfish and probably think about ourselves too much, we actually miss oftentimes what those considerations are, those aspects are of life that create a refuge for us or an opportunity for us to escape in a healthy way. So really thinking about that, thinking about how you can actually escape in a healthy way, and look at your space from a standpoint of whether that supports your ability to do that or not. And oftentimes you may be surprised by the areas of your home that you rarely use, the perks that you thought when you purchased the home that made so much sense, and yet you realized since they're of far less value to you than you originally thought. And this gives you the opportunity to really think through what it is that you actually value in your home and how much space you have that you may not be actually using. So I see this a lot in the contemplation of a lot of millennials. Now, the millennial generation are people that have kind of flipped the status quo in a lot of aspects, but people are generally redefining their space and what space they actually call home and what aspects actually matter to them to have more intentional spaces, to reduce the number of spaces in order to upkeep less, enabling for flexibility and maybe emphasizing freedom and adventure, kind of like the tiny house movement that you've seen. So whatever it is for you though, defining what it is that matters most to you and actually doubling down in that specific area will ensure that what you want and your budget are actually aligning. They're actually pushing you toward your overall vision. So my call to action today is to think about your house. What makes it a home and what needs to change in order to make it a home? And maybe that entails you downsizing. Maybe that entails you moving, or maybe that entails you using that space more intentionally. If this information is helpful to you, please do like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you're reminded to come back on a daily basis and improve in managing your personal finances. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.